It's time for another Nebraska Prep Zone report sponsored by MD West One, Nebraska's most advanced sports medicine, orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine care, covering Greater Omaha for over 70 years. I'm your host, Jake Anderson. Joining me today will be Stu Pospisil. How are you doing today, Stu?
I'm great. It's opening day.
Yeah, time to change the sports calendar over, turn the page to winter. Seems like fall just ended yesterday. We have basketball games.
We certainly do. And Thursday night's a big night, and Saturday should be as well. Friday's a little lighter because most of Class A, those who are able to play, are going tonight.
Well, it should be interesting. We're going to preview boys basketball today, and we'll have Mike Patterson on a little bit later to talk girls basketball. So that girls basketball preview will be upcoming later. But today is boys basketball, and right off the top, Stu, let's start with you giving Bellevue West, the defending champion Thunderbirds, some bulletin board material, putting them number 2.
Hey, I'm good at bulletin board material. You know, my ratings don't reflect the start of the season. I'm trying to predict where the teams are going to be at the end of the year. I'm trying to predict the 6 state champions. And it'd be folly not to think that Millard North can't get it done all the way this year. That said, you know, Bellevue West doesn't want to give up that title without a fight. You know, Chucky Hepburn is quality material going to Badger country after this year. And as we'll talk about, there's some other teams that want to try and break up that Big Two.
Yeah, as you noted in your preview column, it's not a 2-team race.
Well, it could be.
It could be. It could be, but there's
right now it looks like those 2 are cut above. But I think that at least the next 4 in line think that they can at least jolt them and make them sweat.
Well, let's start right off the top with those Mustangs. The name that everyone knows is Hunter Salas, and he's joined by Jaden Johnson, St. Thomas, Jason Green. It's going to be a loaded starting lineup again, and plenty of depth for the Mustangs.
Exactly. You know, this is a team that they've got to be over it, but 2, they got to be motivated by what happened at the state final last year, where they led by 14 in the fourth quarter and didn't win the ball game. So, that's got to be eating at them, motivating them. With Millard North, they have to understand that they are the target, that they are going to have to come out and play well because everybody's going to give them their best shot. You know, they are the team that's nationally ranked. They are the team that has all these top recruits. Hunter Salas is number 6 in some recruiting lists nationally. He's on the Sports Illustrated Final 99 for its All-America team. They can't come out and play lackadaisical. They've got to come out and turn back everybody's best effort because they've got Mustangs or Millard North on their jerseys this year.
Yeah, they had some befuddling slow starts and close games against some teams last year. So it'll be interesting to see if they come out in games and start fast this year and kind of eliminate some of those close matchups.
That I remember back to '89 with Millard South, and Millard South went undefeated that year. Invariably, they would just, with their full court press, they'd get 14, 16-point leads in the first quarter, and basically it was all done after that. Millard North needs to come out with energy every single night out and try and take control early. It's one of these things that the longer you let teams stay in the game, and with the three-pointer, it's a lot different these days. You can shoot yourself in if you're on one side, and you can shoot yourself out if you take bad shots. So hopefully this is a more mature Millard North team, a lot of seniors, that they have to come out hungry every single night and try and just play to their ability and, see where it takes them because they have a lot of potential.
And their top challenger, as we noted, is going to be Bellevue West again, led by Chucky Hepburn, who, you can run out of ways to describe him. He's everywhere in the court, headed to Wisconsin, fantastic point guard, and he'll have Frankie Fiddler, and again, they'll have plenty of depth.
They will. You've got Dosler coming through the ranks. This is Josh's little brother, highly touted sophomore. Greg Brown comes over from Omaha Burke. He gives them another power player inside. Bellevue West isn't that far behind Millard North in talent level. And, hopefully on December 31st, we're going to see those two in the Metro Final. Those we'll talk about. There's teams that would certainly love to upset that apple cart. And then they play in January. And then, who wouldn't want to see a matchup some point during the state tournament? I mean, it's Chucky versus Hunter. You got Frankie versus St. Thomas or Jason Green. You've got a lot of great matchups potential there, and it's the games that, unfortunately, a lot of people want to see and won't be able to see because of fan limitations.
Very, very disappointing. And last year was very talented. A lot of good players last year. This year might be even better, and it is disappointing. But we'll talk plenty about Bellevue West and Millard North this season. So let's jump to the rest of their competition. Number 3 in your ratings is Creighton Prep. As you note, they're going to be a very tall starting lineup led by Luke Youngers, and they have a very intriguing opening matchup.
They do. Isaac Trout, who is presumably the top recruit out of the state in next year's class from Grand Island. The Islanders come in to play Creighton Prep, and GI and Prep have had a pretty good series as of late. Isaac, unfortunately, is going to be with all new starting fives. So how they fit in, how they handle being a Prep. Now, it's not like you've got tonight, Thursday night, you've got 450 kids in that end zone being distractors when teams shoot free throws that direction. It's going to be 100 parents and the teams. So it's going to be different. But Prep, Justin City, Buckley, you've got A.J. Rollins in there, Luke Yanders. This is a team that is gotten state tournament experience. They went 19-9 last year. Right now, they look to be the top contender to breaking up the Big Two.
And number 4 in your ratings, Papillion-La Vista South, led by Denaire Dempsey, had 14 points, 7 rebounds per game last year. What can the Titans do to make it back to the state tournament?
Well, I think they've got to find some guard help and outside shooting. Jared Matley graduated. He was their all-time leading scorer. But like Prep, Papio South has a lot of length. 6 of their 10 lettermen are 6'5" or taller. So, that's one thing that Bellevue West doesn't have a plethora of is tall players, but Prep and Papio South, there's a lot of guys that they're breaking 6'5" on the scale or on the wall chart.
And our next 2 teams here have some talented players to replace. Omaha Central and Omaha West Side, number 5 and 6 in your ratings. Latrell Wrightsell leaving the Eagles and Jaden Booth leaving the Warriors. Who can step in to replace those guys?
Well, they're hoping it's a couple of transfers. One would be Jaron Marshall, who led Omaha Burke last year in scoring, and then Denham Johnson has come over from Omaha Benson to play for his senior year with Central. So Central's got 3 returning starters already to go with these 2 transfers, and there were some good players in the background as well. So it looks like it's going to be another successful season for the Eagles.
And then for the Warriors, Chandler Meeks and Reggie Thomas, they had contributing roles as sophomores, juniors this season. What are the Warriors expecting from them?
A lot of leadership. Again, there's a good young group coming up for the Warriors, but those 2 really blended in. You had Jaden Booth and Brown last year that did a lot of the outside scoring. Westside's not going to be exceptionally tall either. They're not going to have a true center. So they're going to have to rely a lot on the perimeter game and, causing disruption with their defense.
And number 7 in your ratings, Lincoln Southeast, led by Ajante Hogan, averaged 18.1 points per game last season. Can he lead Lincoln Southeast to a state tournament?
Well, the Knights are certainly hoping so. They're on their third coach in 3 years or 4 years, with Joey Werning coming in. Coach Bradley went up to the college level, so the Knights get a new guy in there. It's going to hurt that Tavian Thompson, a good football player, suffered a season-ending shoulder injury in football, but they get back Barrett France from shoulder surgery, so I guess it's a trade. But they were 14-11 last year, and once they get started, we should talk about that too. The Lincoln schools have not even been able to practice yet this year because of county restrictions, and that's been an issue that they're going to be behind the curve even when they get started potentially next week. We haven't heard for sure whether the county will allow high school sports at least to resume. And right now, the schools down there are figuring that they're not going to be playing games until maybe the 17th, so they get maybe 2 or 3 games in maximum before the holiday tournaments.
And we have a couple other Lincoln schools coming up in your ratings. So there will be some top teams behind the 8 ball. But before we get to those, another very tall lineup, Papillion-La Vista, the Monarchs, led by Joey Hylock, Chase Lett, Kyle Ingwerson, and Luke Lindenmeyer. The Monarchs are going to be a challenging team this year.
They are. They were so close to going last year. Westside knocked them out in the district final. Monarchs were 16-9. They're going to want to play tough on defense, Coach Dan Moore said, and rebound. And, he had an afterthought. He says you have to try and live in a bubble so you can play the whole season.
And let's get those Lincoln schools. Lincoln Pius, the 10th, led by Sam Hastretter. He's a junior this year. He'll be counted on to have more of a big role this year.
Yeah, and he's already possesses an offer from Idaho out west. And, there's a couple guys who stats kind of a little familiar to people in the state. That'd be Sam and Charlie Hoiberg. That'd be Fred Hoiberg's twin sons. They're seniors this year.
I think I recognize those names.
Yeah, they're a little familiar. And the Hastriders are juniors. Sam has a brother as well. But Sam's 6'6", Jake Greason's 6'6", so there's some height there. Pius at one time was number 1 last year, and they didn't finish strongly in the season. So they're going to want to try and get more consistent start to finish, and they have a chance as well to make state.
And the 10th team in your ratings is one of the more interesting ones to me because we know a little bit what they'll look like this year. Quat Abdelkarim replaces Donovan Williams as the Navigators' go-to guy, and we saw that to open last year, so we know how that's going to look. Who's going to be surrounding him for the Gators?
Well, Josh Brown is back at guard as well. DJ McGarvey started half the games. I think the X factor is someone we didn't get to see last year because of injury. Brennan Clemens is a 6'7" sophomore, but he's going to be a defender that teams are going to have to try and break through to get to the rim. Good body. Quat was leading them in scoring when Donovan Williams came back. You always have issues when you have kids come in mid-season for chemistry. You lose, some kids are going to lose playing time, scoring, roles change. I think if the Navigators this year can stay consistent, that they've got the material that, again, could take them to the state tourney.
who are some of the dark horse contenders, some teams that missed out on this top 10 that could reach Lincoln?
Well, Millard South returns 4. They've got the Stinger cousins. They've got good size inside. They were 9-13 last year. Kearney, as Kearney showed in football, you can never count out the Bearcats program in anything. Preston Pearson, one of their top football players, is one of their 3 returning seniors. So Drake Beranek out at Bearcat Land, he's excited to see how the program has progressed in his 3rd or 4th year. Grand Island, of course, with Isaac Trout, how the newcomers mesh and step up to being under the lights for the first time. Gretna, when you've got Brad Feakin and Bill Hurd on the bench, those players are going to be coached up, and Gretna, of course, one of the burgeoning schools in Class A until they get their second school built. And Omaha North, which Keyshawn Williams on pace to be one of the top scorers in school history, and Curtis Ogba, when he was healthy, they were very good. He missed 13 games, and they really struggled. So that looks to be my list of 5 to watch, and there's always going to be a surprise or 2.
Definitely. And I think we're prepped for opening weekend. Which games are you going to be at?
Tonight, Thursday night, it's Grand Island at Creighton Prep. Still working out the rest of the weekend. A lot of games on opening night. We'll set the matchups for Saturday. Obviously, one that looks intriguing that's already set would be Westside going to Millard North. So Millard North's opener is tonight, Thursday, against Columbus, out of Columbus. And, again, if you had normal conditions, that would be kind of an interesting – you got the state favorite going on the road in front of a large crowd, and that's not going to happen tonight.
Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to having your insight throughout the season. We'll discuss some of the changes for Metro Conference, the tournament before that happens this year, and we're looking forward to a great season.
Hey, it's here, and let's keep it going.
Definitely. Until next time, thanks for listening.
As the official team doctors for high school and college teams across Greater Omaha, MD West One Sports Med Doctors can get you back into the game stronger than ever. Meet the Sports Med team at mdwest1.com or call 402-390-4111.